Welcome to Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair.
Blair, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
I am doing quite well. We are officially onto our fourth and final film of the month of February, a month we've been calling based on a true story. It's been a fun month.
It has been, yeah.
This is, we had mentioned it, I think, at the beginning of last month, that this is a category that we wanted to do last year, but we just ran out of time. So I'm glad that we were able to pick it up this year. It's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We are wrapping this month up with an absolute classic. But before we chat about this week's episode, what do you say we chat a little bit about some horror news?
This is horror news.
Blairski, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I do. So the first one is regarding Texas Chainsaw, the game. Horror legend Barbara Crampton has been announced as the next character to join the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game. She will be playing a new character, Mom, in the next DLC. No news yet whether that's family or victim, or none that I've read. That sounds to me like a family character. Still exciting nonetheless. Jesse, you will like this. In a recent statement on Instagram about it, Barbara Crampton states that she is ecstatic about the opportunity, as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is her favorite movie of all time.
No way.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, apparently she was really good friends with Gunnar Hansen as well before
no
he
way.
passed. Yeah.
No way. That's
Which I
fantastic.
thought was pretty cool.
I also love that movie very, very much.
I know you do. I know you do. I'm also a fan, but I know you very much treasure that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It holds a dear place in my heart.
Other video game news: the much anticipated Killer Clowns from Outer Space video game finally has a release date, and that will be playable June 4th of this year. And I think as of today, you can already pre-order it.
Yeah, February 21st was the pre-order date, which gives you 1 week's early access to the game.
It's probably another game I will be purchasing.
Yeah, it's a game that we've been chatting about for a while. It's also a game that we haven't seen an update for quite some time.
Yeah.
The last update we got was the trailer release, I think, and we both agreed that the trailer for the video game is far more bloody than the actual movie itself.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That'll be a fun game. That'll be fun.
I think so, man. It's hopefully it's a game that you'll jump on. We'll see.
Yeah, 100%.
My final piece of horror news: Damien Leone has teased the first photo from the set of Terrifier 3, which has officially started filming, and it's just a photo of Art the Clown's face.
Yeah. It's what was it? It was a photo taken of the camera.
Yeah.
Taking or shooting a shot of,
Art the Clown's face. Still exciting though, because it is a highly anticipated movie. So it's cool that he's kind of keeping active with the fan base, giving updates and whatnot.
100%. That one comes out, remind me, do you remember
it's around Halloween. I don't know the actual date. It's around Halloween.
25th, maybe? I think it's the 25th of October, which is the perfect time for a horror-based Christmas movie.
Right.
Tis the season. The season. Yeah, that'll be interesting nonetheless. Yeah. I wanted to, sorry, I don't have it written down here, but I wanted to kind of riff off of your Texas Chainsaw the Game news.
Okay.
I thought I had read earlier today that, who was it, Gun Interactive? Is that who developed the game?
Well, yes, Gun Interactive did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They were also part of Friday the 13th.
Right. Apparently, they will no longer be the group that is updating the game.
What?
There's going to be another, and I'm sorry because I hate throwing this in there when I don't have the information in front of me.
Yeah, fair enough.
But look into it after this episode. I'll hopefully have some stuff for next episode. But I believe there is a yet to be announced group that will be taking over for their development of the game.
That's kind of what happened to Friday the 13th before it totally finished completely. So
yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't fall into the same place as Friday the 13th, or even more recently, a game like Evil Dead,
Yeah.
where it just kind of fizzles out.
Shortly after me and you both bought it too.
Certainly. Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. I've got a couple pieces of news. This one, I just have the one piece of news. I had the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but the one piece of news that I have, I am so excited for this one.
Okay.
Huge news reported by Fangoria earlier this week that after 70-year hiatus, EC Comics is coming back. EC Comics, most famous for its Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror comics, will officially be coming back July 2024 after a 70-year break.
I read that too.
Oh, I am beyond excited for this. The very first year of HorrorCon. Yes, the first year of HorrorCon, I picked up 2 reprints of the first 2 issues of Tales from the Crypt, and they're excellent. So beyond excited for this one. It was reported that they will be releasing at least 2 series on a monthly basis, starting this July with the release of Epitaph from the Abyss. I am beyond excited for this one.
Right on, man.
It'll be so good. It'll be great. The artwork will be great. I don't have a list of the writers or the artists, but they have quite a few, and I believe they are bigger names in the world of comics and horror comics more specifically. So very excited. July 2024, something to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I have for horror news. What do you say we jump into this week's episode? The 4th and final film of the month of February, a month we've been calling based on a true story, goes to 1979's The Amityville Horror. This one coming in at 1 hour, 58 minutes. Belairski, I'm sure we'll get into it, but initial thoughts on the runtime.
It's a little long, and yes, we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll jump right into fun facts.
Fun facts. Facts that are fun.
Belairski, do you have any fun facts for this one?
Yeah, I've got a few. So, this movie is based on the real life story of the Lutz family, who claim they witnessed many paranormal events after moving into the Amityville, New York residence not long after Ronald DeFeo Jr. tragically killed his entire family in the same house.
Yeah.
They originally wanted to shoot the film in the exact house all this took place in, but the local authorities would not let them near it.
Interesting.
Instead, they found a house in Toms River, New Jersey, that they leased for $12,000 and completely converted it to make it look like the actual house. They even built the boathouse in the back from scratch, costing production another $31,000.
Wow, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
Cool.
wild, man. The final fun fact I have is numbers thing. It's an independent film. It had a budget of $4.7 million. It is now considered one of the highest grossing independent films of all time after making $86.4 million in the North American box office.
And those numbers are 1979 numbers, correct?
Yeah.
So times that by, I don't even know how much.
Right.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Right? I think they're 1979 numbers anyway. I would assume so.
I would imagine so. And I actually want to build off of that for my first fun fact here. The film had a pretty small budget, as you had mentioned. So star James Brolin was promised 10% of the gross sale of the movie, which he ended up receiving $17 million in 1979, which apparently, if you adjust for inflation, as we all do,
of course,
comes out to about $63.5 million.
Man, oh man.
Wow.
That's a payout.
You know what? Good for him for taking, that is somebody who had faith in the movie, I guess. 10% of the gross sale, $63.5 million. I believe that was adjusted to inflation for 2021.
That's wild.
Insane.
That is wild, man.
Yeah. On that, though, James Brolin and Margot Kidder have stated that neither of them believe in the story.
Okay.
And Margot Kidder has also stated that she hated the movie. There you go. There you go. I've got a couple more here. The scene where Rod Steiger's face is covered in flies, kind of towards the beginning of the film. Honey was rubbed on his head to attract the winged pests. That would have been one of the worst scenes to film.
I agree, and I feel like I wonder how long it took.
I don't
to get. There's quite a few flies on his face.
Yeah, I'm sure he was hoping, okay, let's make this a one and done, because it was pretty disgusting, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate flies.
Oh, disgusting. Jay Anson, who wrote the book The Amityville Horror, for which the movie was based on, also took a crack at writing a screenplay for the movie.
Okay.
It was turned down by producers. Interesting. I don't know why it was turned down, but it was turned down nonetheless. And then finally, this film was originally planned to be a made-for-TV movie, which is kind of interesting because, and we'll get to it, but Sandor Stern, who wrote the movie, most of the movies that they wrote were TV movies, which is kind of interesting. But before we talk about the written by, let's talk about directed by. This one, Stuart Rosenberg, also directed 1976's Voyage of the Damned, 1980's Brubaker, and the 1967 egg-eating classic, Cool Hand Luke. Such a great movie.
Never even heard of it, man.
Oh, it's great. It's a prison movie, and there's a scene where they have an egg-eating contest. It's brilliant. Watch it. It's brilliant. This one, written by, as just stated, Sandor Stern, also wrote numerous TV movies, including 1976's Shark Kill, 1977's Red Alert, and Killer on Board, and 1982's Muggable Mary, Street Cop, just to name a few. Have you seen 1982's Muggable Mary, Street Cop?
Great name. No, but it's another one I've never even heard of, man.
It sounds like a movie that you would watch at a drive-in. It seems like a lot of fun. Muggable Mary, Street Cop, 1982. This one we got a pretty big cast in this one. James Brolin as George Lutz, also starred in 2002's Catch Me If You Can, 2000's Traffic, 1980's Night of the Juggler. He is also the father of Josh Brolin.
Okay.
And it has been married to icon of the stage and screen, Barbra Streisand.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Which I did not know. Yeah, Barbra Streisand. Pretty neat. Also starring Margot Kidder as Kathy Lutz. Also starred, of course, in 1978 Superman, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4 as Lois Lane. Brilliant in those. And as Barb, of course, in the 1974 classic Black Christmas, just to name a few. We love Black Christmas.
Yeah, it was a good movie, man.
Yeah. And then finally, starring screen legend Rod Steiger as Father Delaney, won the Academy Award for Best Actor in a leading role for his performance in The Heat of the Night. Also starred in 1971's A Fistful of Dynamite, 1965's Dr. Zhivago, in the absolute classic, alongside a young Marlon Brando, 1954's On the Waterfront, one of my favorites. Also starred in 1996's Mars Attacks.
Okay.
And as Doc Wallace in the 1996 feel-good family classic, Shiloh. Do you remember Shiloh?
I do remember Shiloh.
About the dog?
I don't really remember it, but I remember watching it for sure.
If somebody says Shiloh, you immediately go back to 1996.
Yeah.
This one, we have a lengthier synopsis, courtesy of our dear friends at IMDb. Newlyweds and their 3 children move into a large house where a mass murder was committed. They start to experience strange, inexplicable manifestations which have strong effects on everyone living in or visiting the house. Spoiler alert, that is the entire movie.
Yeah. It's a good synopsis, man. It is a good synopsis.
It is one of the better synopsises that we've gotten lately.
Yeah, definitely lately.
2 thumbs way up for this synopsis, courtesy of our dear friends at IMDb. This leads to one of our favorite segments of the show, Kill Count.
Kill count. The time of the show we count the kills.
Blairski, did we have a kill count for 1979's The Amityville Horror?
We got a total kill count of 6.
Okay, wow.
All deaths in this movie tragically happened in real life, and all deaths in this movie take place at the very beginning.
Right in the intro. Yeah. Very tragic, very tragic. 6 deaths right off the bat. What better place to start with our next segment? Likes, dislikes. Likes, dislikes, likes, dislikes, and everything in between. The portion of the show where we chat about what we liked, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Blairski, we love our intros.
Yeah.
Let's start likes and dislikes with this intro. What did you think?
I love the music. That is some of the creepiest horror movie music you'll ever hear. I'm going to say it straight up. That is, the score in this movie is fantastic.
It kind of felt like a creepy lullaby, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
To my understanding, creepy. There were rumors that I believe are not true, but the rumor I believe was that this was the unused soundtrack for The Exorcist.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that I could see it. I could see it.
The composer of this one also did a soundtrack unreleased for The Exorcist that was not chosen for the final cut. But a lot of people think, oh, maybe this was the one that they were going to use for The Exorcist. But I thought it was great. I thought the music, although iconic and although great, felt like I had maybe heard it before.
Yeah,
there was
kind of
an awful lot of moments that were very reminiscent of Psycho.
Yeah.
But I think it was just because it was really string heavy, but it was creepy as all hell.
And the shot of the house at the beginning,
oh my
with kind of like red background, it looked really cool, man. I really liked that whole intro, and plus just kind of seeing the murders take place.
Yeah,
it's a good intro, man.
The house looks downright evil, man.
Mm-hmm.
The intro, you see the flashes from the muzzle of the gun through the eye-shaped windows of the house, and it makes the house look like it has eyes, and that those eyes are lighting up red. It is, what a great shot.
It's so good, man.
Movie. So creepy. And that house itself, I mean, that house might be one of the most iconic houses in horror history.
You know, they got rid of those windows though, eh?
Yeah, I guess that it was, and I mean, rightfully so, but it was attracting so much attention, and people would drive for miles and miles around. So yeah, they changed the windows of that house, and they changed the address of the house as well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. They've probably painted it and just totally redone it up.
Exactly. I can only imagine, being the owners of that house and having people, strangers, complete strangers, showing up at all hours of the night.
100%. Yeah.
Be a little unnerving. It'd be a little unnerving. Before we move on, I just want to mention the kind of the words that came across the screen during the intro.
Yeah.
We both love our scrolling title cards. This one, it just kind of appears over the action that is happening, and it says November 13th, 1974, Amityville, Long Island. A mother, father, and 4 of their children murdered. No apparent motive. And that's it.
Yeah, it's even that alone is just kind of just a creepy image, isn't it?
So creepy. And a nice setup.
Yeah, that is a good setup.
The setup is, I mean, it's coated in mystery. As is a lot of the story, a lot of the true story. There's so much mystery to this that I don't know if they even still, if they ever had a motive or if they ever came to a motive. At first
for the murders.
For the murders, apparently the son had admitted to it, and then he had blamed his sister, it was just, I don't know if they ever did come down to a motive.
I thought he was blaming voices.
That is, I mean, well. I think that is one of the go-tos, and that's obviously brought up a lot in the movie,
Mhm.
especially with the priest, Father Delaney. He mentions voices, hearing voices. I heard voices and all that stuff. We'll go with that.
Yeah, we will.
What else did you like about this one?
I found the acting was pretty good.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire movie. The way George Lutz was slipping deeper and deeper into madness and possession was really, really well done by him.
Yeah.
And the way Kathy Lutz was reacting to everything, I found was very believable as well.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the creepy stuff in this movie comes from that transformation of the
Mhm.
character George that we see.
Mhm.
He seems to be really the only one in the family to be affected from the energies of the house itself,
Yeah,
and everyone else is affected by his energies.
yeah, or
Which is-
demon or ghost. Like there, you can't forget Jody. We can't forget Jody.
Jody, of course, Jody. Yeah. I also thought Rod Steiger as Father Delaney was great. There's
He
a scene
was.
at the church where they're talking about, again, him hearing voices and how it could all, we could all come to an answer that makes more sense than spirits and stuff like that. And he kind of has a bit of a meltdown, and it's a pretty good performance. Pretty good performance.
You already kind of mentioned The Exorcist with the music. I
Yeah.
literally have written here, this movie overall was definitely creepy and almost gave me The Exorcist vibes.
Yeah, I think that's a good leeway into things we didn't like, because I also got that vibe as well. But I think what it's missing that The Exorcist had is The Exorcist had a really good final battle between good and evil.
It sure
I
did.
feel like the Amityville Horror was maybe missing that. I felt like the ending, although a lot happens in the ending, that's where we see a lot of the really cool practical effects that we'll
Yeah.
maybe talk about next.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I felt like it was a bit rushed, and I felt like there wasn't much of a battle. It was the family just, let's get out
Just
of here.
leaving. I have that written down
It's
as well.
like, why not leave earlier then? If that's the solution, why not leave earlier?
Yeah, I have that written down. I found the movie a little long and was
Yeah.
not a fan of the ending. I found it anticlimactic
Yeah.
and it felt rushed. Even though it was a long movie, the ending just felt rushed. And I don't know, I left feeling underwhelmed.
It's kind of a bummer
ended.
because so many things that tie the Amityville Horror, or so many of the images that we tie with the Amityville Horror. So, the bleeding walls, or the bleeding staircases, or the red room, or Jody, who I believe is the pig with the glowing eyes. All of that stuff happens with like no time left in the movie.
I know, but I also hate that pig with the glowing eyes shit. I do not like when they used special effects in this movie. It was so bad.
Yeah.
It took me right out of it.
And also when it's like, I don't know the whole story very well, but like they don't mention what Jody is.
No, it's
And like
Amy's invisible friend. That's all we know.
and we get that. And usually we get some kind of description of, oh, what does that invisible friend look like? And it's like, I feel like if the parents maybe nudged the child a little bit more to, oh, who is Jody? What do they look like? Oh, like all this stuff, they might have been a little bit more alarmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I felt like it was a little bit anticlimactic. I agree. Anytime there was any kind of visual effect or special effect used, it was underwhelming. I did like the practical effects.
I did too.
I did. I just kept thinking back to the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode where the Simpsons buy a haunted house. And yeah, again, we have the walls that are bleeding and the house telling them to get out. And I loved the bleeding walls. I thought that was great.
Have you ever seen the remake to this movie?
I haven't.
Like there's probably 15 Amityville movies. Like there's,
Yeah.
I think, Amityville in space even.
Yeah.
But like there is an actual remake to the original movie. I think it stars Ryan Reynolds, believe it or not,
Okay.
as George Lutz. I actually like that remake better. So anyone who hasn't seen the remake and is a fan of the original movie, check out the remake because it's not that bad. It is not that bad. The ending was also a little more climactic.
It's so weird. I am usually a big fan of the originals.
Me too. Well, me too.
And remakes. There's some that I like, some that I'm not crazy about. But in a whole, especially if a movie is done in the 70s, I'm a total loyalist to the originals. I love movies, horror movies that come out in the 70s. I find that's when like filmmaking was at its grittiest. But yeah, this one I would maybe be a little bit interested to see the remake.
It's nothing spectacular, but to me it's a better movie and a better kind of told story as well.
Yeah, I wasn't overly scared of the story itself. I don't know if it was more of like a family drama in this haunted house, but we don't even really see I mean, there's obviously aspects of the house that it's haunted, of course, the flies and the red room, the voices, we only ever catch a glimpse of a spirit once in the red room. But I was kind of underwhelmed. I love haunted houses. I love haunted house stories. And I was a little bit underwhelmed by this particular house, which is a shame.
Especially since it's such an infamous house. It's the Amityville Horror.
Yeah, house, if not the most iconic. I mean, if you're a horror movie fan, I think if you think haunted houses, the one that you immediately go to is maybe the Amityville Horror.
100%.
Yeah. Anything else you really liked about this one? Didn't like about this one?
We've talked about everything I've written down here. Yes, yeah, I'm good, man.
Yeah, I think I am also good. Yeah. Let's move on to our next segment of the show, which is lessons we learned from watching a 1979's The Amityville Horror.
Lessons we learned from watching. Insert title of movie here.
The portion of the show where we discuss the valuable life lessons we learned from watching said movie. Blairski, did you learn a single thing from 1979's The Amityville Horror?
I got a couple things here. I learned just how much inflation has risen since the late 70s.
Yeah.
To be able to buy a house on a lakeside property at $80,000, haunted or not. I mean, that's wild, man. You can't even buy an apartment or a condo for $80,000 these days.
Yeah, it's crazy. I did put here the only thing not scary about this house is the low asking price. Yeah, $80,000. I mean, that's not even a second thought. It's you're buying that house, and if it's haunted, it's haunted.
That's less than like a Tesla if you were to buy a Tesla or something like that.
It's insane. That's insane. Yeah.
Finally, I learned that when buying a house, it's okay to shop around a bit and take your time. Do your research. I'm sure the Lutz family could have found a lovely house at a similar cost that wasn't a cesspool for murder, houseflies, and demonic possession. If they just kept their options open for a bit, I feel like they probably bought the first house they looked at.
Yeah, don't take the first house you look at. Yeah. There's always a house. There's always a house. Yeah.
That's it, man. That's all I've learned for this movie.
I've got a couple here. If black sludge is bubbling out of a toilet, call a plumber. One maybe who specializes in possessed toilets. What else do I have here? Checks are not cash. Checks get canceled. Checks bounce. If somebody asks for cash, pay them in cash.
Yeah, pay them in cash.
And in fact, the check did bounce in this movie. $1,500 of it.
For catering, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, a little science fact here. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change forms. And I actually think when I was writing that out, I feel like we've used that before in lessons we learned.
You know what? It does sound familiar, whether it's familiar for the podcast or not, I don't know, but I've heard that before.
I feel like it's maybe from a possession movie that we've watched. Maybe it's from The Exorcist.
Who knows? And they use the same line.
Yeah, who knows? It was around the same time, and maybe science, maybe that bit of science had come out and said, you know what? This is definitive. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Let's let the masses know.
Yeah. Put it in every movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. This leads to one of our favorite segments of the show, Line of the Night.
Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night.
The segment of the show where we discuss our favorite lines from the movie. They might give us chills, they might give us the giggles. All we know is that they are our favorites. Blairski, you got a couple line of the nights?
Get out.
Oof.
Get out. Said by the demon haunting the house, or maybe even the house itself.
The house itself. Good line read, by the way. Good line read.
Thank you. Said to the priest when he had flies covered his face, and the house just wanted him gone. I found that pretty creepy. Kind of gave me the chills a bit. Another line that gave me the chills. Jody doesn't like George.
Creepy.
Said by Amy after to her mother when they were discussing her friend Jody after the babysitter was locked in the closet for fucking who knows how long.
Yeah.
Final line was said by George as the possession is slowly taking over him. He goes, "I'm coming apart. Oh, mother of God, I'm coming apart." So he knows he's being possessed. He can feel it. He can feel it.
Also, what a great line. I'm coming apart. Oh, such a great line.
Yeah.
I've got a couple goofy ones.
Okay.
The first one I have, do we have to? She's always pinching. That comes from one of the boys after being told by Kathy to open the door for their aunt.
Yeah.
I also have here a line delivered by Amy when she says, "I wasn't sick. I just didn't like meatloaf."
Yeah.
I love meatloaf.
I love
Big
meatloaf
fan
too.
of meatloaf. Yeah. And then finally, the priest, during a conversation about a car malfunctioning, says, "I'd blame Detroit before I'd blame the devil." Good for you. Good for you. Shame on you for blaming the fine folks of Detroit.
We all saw what happened to Detroit over time.
Oh, goodness. This leads us to our final segment of the show, our favorite segment, I would say. Celebrity Lookalike Time.
Celebrity Lookalike Time.
The time of the show where we take a look at the cast and discuss their celebrity doppelgangers. Spoiler alert, it usually comes down to the character's hairstyle. Blairski, what do you got for celebrity lookalike?
Just a couple. First off, Kathy Lutz kind of reminded me and Rachel both of Courtney Cox.
Okay, yeah.
Think it was just kind of like all in the face shape. And then finally, George Lutz reminded me of Kurt Russell in The Thing, famed artist Bob Ross.
Okay.
And also pretty much every guy in the late 70s.
Yeah, big hair, big mustache, big beard. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I've got a couple here. The character George reminded me of Frank Donald Goodish.
Okay.
AKA King Kong Brody, AKA The Masked Marauder, AKA Red River Jack, AKA professional wrestling legend Bruiser Brody. Wrestler back in the 70s and 80s. Again, big hair, even bigger beard, even bigger personality. And then finally, the character Kathy reminded me of Karen Allen.
Okay.
And up until writing this review, I thought they were the same person, so much so that I paused the movie while watching, bellowed for my wife to come downstairs, and said to her, "Oh my God, it's Marion from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark."
And was she like, "No, it's not"?
No, she said, "I think you're right." Margot Kidder did not play Marion in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was Karen Allen, and they have a striking resemblance.
Yeah, no kidding.
Celebrity lookalike time. To my wife, I apologize for thinking that I was smart. I am a fool yet again.
You are indeed, sir.
This leads us to our final rating for 1979's The Amityville Horror. Blairski out of 5, compulsive wood chopping, fire stoking, Jack Torrance impersonating papas. What do you give The Amityville Horror out of 5?
I love that. He said earlier, even though like Jack Torrance and The Shining came out later, You're
I would say-
totally right on that.
I would say far more iconic is The Shining for
It
chopping
really
through
is.
doors with an axe. Yeah.
I'm going to give this movie 3.5. Compulsive wood chopping, fire stoking, Jack Torrance impersonating Papas out of 5. It's an absolute classic of a movie.
Yep.
It does definitely leave you creeped out, but I found it way too long, a little slow, and I really hated the special effects used and the ending, especially.
Yeah. All in all, I think we can agree that if you are a horror movie fan, you have to see it.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you were saying, it's an absolute classic. And whether you rate it a 1 or whether you rate it a 5, you got to see it. And
Yeah.
just to say you saw it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to give it 3. Compulsive wood chopping, fire stoking, Jack Torrance impersonating Papas out of 5. This movie was fun. It was a little bit long. The
Mhm.
ending was underwhelming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Enough said. Yep.
Enough said. Yeah. This has been a fun month.
Has been, man.
Based on a true story, has been a lot of fun. Very excited for next month.
I am too, man. It's a different month for us.
A different month, one that we've never done before, one that we're both really excited for, one
Yeah.
that we mentioned it to each other, we were immediately on board for. So yeah, excited for it. But until next month, this has been Review Set Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. Remember to stay scary.
And eat every sandwich. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Review Set Scare. Make sure you check out our link tree at linktree/Review Set Scare. That's linktr.ee/Review Set Scare, which has links to our Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and many other things. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at reviewsetscare@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay scary and eat every sandwich.
A proud member of Pod Nation TV.